Good evening, and welcome to the 2010 Common Cause New York Annual Awards Dinner. It's a pleasure to be here with friends new and old following a year that brought even more challenges and changes to New York State than we thought possible. We're very excited about the evening planned for you tonight. It's a unique privilege to be able to honor Richard Ravitch as he concludes his tenure as Lieutenant Governor. His willingness to step in as Lieutenant Governor before it was even settled whether he could be appointed at all is so indicative of a spirit of civic responsibility and passion to tackle the big problems that Dick has brought to public service throughout his long and varied career. His example should serve as an inspiration for future leaders. In an age decried for its selfishness, Richard Ravitch is the embodiment of a man whose success devolves from his devotion to his community. The Council of Urban Professionals, our second honoree, presents a contemporary model for fostering the same sense of civic engagement and putting individual talents to the service of the greater community that has been the hallmark of Lieutenant Governor Ravitch's career. We're pleased to be able to recognize this young organization for its cutting-edge role in helping young professionals give back and assist the urban communities that they come from. After tonight, these honorees will join a long list of outstanding individuals that Common Cause New York has honored, including President Bill Clinton, Dr. John Bradamus, who I'm happy to say is with us this evening, Louis Coleman, Ted Sorensen, and Dr. Vartan Gregorian. Many people helped to make an evening such as tonight's dinner a success. And while it isn't possible to thank all of them, I do want to acknowledge the assistance of just a few special people. Following my remarks, you'll be hearing from our national president, Bob Edgar. I want to thank Bob not only for his help with this dinner, he never misses an opportunity to tell New Yorkers he meets with about this evening and invite their participation, but also for his support of Common Cause's more ambitious initiatives, particularly our convening of a large coalition to push back the negative and divisive misinformation that created the controversy around the Park 51 Islamic Center planned for downtown Manhattan. His support and his national leadership is very much appreciated. Thanks so much, Bob. We're very happy that some of our Common Cause National Board members are able to join us tonight. We're lucky to have 3 of them here. If Chang Park, Bill Hubbard, and Lynn Baines would stand, we'd like to thank you for your outstanding leadership. Every big event has one person who is absolutely essential, who picks up the pieces and keeps things rolling. And for this event, it really is our Director of Major Gifts at Common Cause Nationally, Gary Ferdman. Gary, where are you? Thank you for your creativity, your stick-with-itness, and all of the things that you've taught me over the 3 years we've been working together. Common Cause's staff is an essential part of moving our mission forward. Would Deanna Battetti and Theo Moore please stand? Deanna's our Associate Director, and she's working on the project that has to do with money and politics in the Marcellus Shale natural gas exploration, and an exciting project developing a public-private partnership exploring performance metrics for the large public service, the large social service program, TANF. Theo's our representative at the New York Stimulus Alliance and was integral to helping us end the pernicious practice of prison-based gerrymandering here in New York. They are our valued staff. Most of Common Cause New York's board is here with us tonight. Would our New York board members please stand? Ben Schuldiner, Eric Joya, Marianne Lotto, Dave Spalding, Tom Bergdahl, and Sean Coffey, as well as Bill Hubbard and Board Chair Susan Rubenstein, provide essential advice and guidance throughout the year. It's a pleasure to work with each and every one of them. And Bill and Susan, I want to thank you in particular. I want to thank you for the hard work that you put in handling the myriad details that had to be addressed in putting this dinner together and making it a success. Your sense of what was essential to make this a good experience, not only for our honorees, but our attendees, is absolutely faultless. like to extend a special thank you to Susan Buxbaum and to Marion High School for their assistance in putting together the visual presentation tracing Lieutenant Governor Ravage's life and career that you'll see after dinner. Mrs. High School graciously arranged for me to have access to the New York Times morgue, which personally I have to say is one of the highlights of my year, and made it possible for us to use many wonderful news photos from the New York Times files. Finally, our festivities are made possible tonight by those who are working to ensure that our evening is pleasurable. Please join me in thanking the men and women of Local 6 you see around the room who will be serving us this evening. Before I speak to you about the challenges and our ambitious plans for moving reform forward in New York State, please take a look under your bread plate. You can lift your pop over and take a look underneath. The lucky person at the table who finds a colored dot underneath the bread plate is the winner of our centerpiece, John Gardner's book, Living, Leading, and the American Dream. I'm glad to see people grabbing it right away. We hope you find the book as helpful and inspiring as we do. As if we at Common Cause New York needed any reminder. The events of the last year further confirm the degree to which our state government is unable to grapple with the real economic and social changes facing New York. This presents unique challenges for those who believe in improving government. It's incumbent on all of us to help remember why government is important and make them believe we can do something to improve its effectiveness. In the words of John Gardner, the founder of Common Cause, we must end the indiscriminate trashing of government. Carefully targeted criticism is immensely important, but we must target our efforts. We must insist, for example, that government make itself worthy of respect by eliminating the many ways in which moneyed interests coerce legislators. With these words in mind, we at Common Cause New York are redoubling our efforts to bring meaningful campaign finance reform to New York State, and particularly to identify a practical form of public financing of elections for New York, taking the best of the New York City system and updating it with lessons learned from other states with the successful public financing of election systems. I personally believe that finding a dedicated funding source, not simply the state's general fund, to pay for election campaigns, particularly for down-ticket races, like the comptroller and the attorney general, is key to building even greater voter support for this effective response to the ever-escalating buckets of private money pouring into our elections. That's why I am so excited to be working with new Common Cause New York board member, Sean Coffey, and others to develop innovative suggestions for such funding, providing candidates and elected officials with alternatives to taking ever larger amounts of money from those who want something from state government in order to run for office can help restore the public's trust in their elected officials and help those officials maintain a necessary degree of independence and objectivity. We hope that you will share with us any ideas that you have for bringing meaningful campaign finance reform to New York, and we mean to call on you in the weeks and months ahead for just such advice. We'll be a reform ally to incoming Governor Cuomo, urging him to fulfill his pledge to root out corruption and strengthen New York's appallingly lax ethics laws. We'll take our first step on this road later this week when we suggest to the governor-elect that he can use his executive order power to require state contractors to disclose all of their pre-contract communications with any state official. The largest hurdle to effective reform is unfortunately our state legislature. In the face of renewed and more urgent calls for systemic reform, our state government, particularly our legislature, remains unmoved. The reason is simple. The system is working for someone, the elected politicians in office is just not working for anyone else. One key reason we submit is the tortured and artificial gerrymandering of legislative districts for partisan purposes. Our election system is designed to protect incumbents, and it does that very well. Districts are drawn not to reflect true political boundaries and communities of interest, but rather to ensure safe seats for incumbents and political advantage for the party in power. That state of affairs has led to a startling occurrence. In a year when there was supposed to be an anti-incumbency surge, New York State's incumbency protection system prevailed. While some incumbents were defeated by challengers, a shockingly large number of legislators ran unopposed. Voters aren't stupid. They saw that the deck was fixed in most instances. They didn't feel they had meaningful choices in many races. As a result, this November, New York had the lowest voter turnout in the nation. 50th in voter turnout, 50th. Unfortunately, this response only complicates the problem. Those who ignore the best interests of the people are rewarded, and citizens are disengaged and don't hold their elected officials accountable. However, this year we are presented with an opportunity to make a meaningful change in this self-perpetuating system. Reform of the redistricting process has long been promised by both Democrats and Republicans, yet it seems never to actually come about. While we fully support and join the call of many for an independent redistricting commission to be appointed by law for the coming year, we propose to put together a parallel process to ensure that it does. The 2011 redistricting cycle provides an opportunity to show New Yorkers how they can benefit if citizens determine the political district maps instead of politicians. Working in partnership with the governmental research, the Center for Governmental Research in Rochester, we propose to assemble a Citizens Parallel Redistricting Advisory Commission. The Parallel Advisory Commission will be made up of representatives of groups from throughout the state, from a wide diversity of communities and interests. The Parallel Commission will work with leading redistricting legal and demographic consultants to propose maps drawn according to objective, non-political criteria. Through public education and widespread media coverage, the Citizens Parallel Redistricting Commission will illustrate the alternatives available to the legislature, with maps drawn through an open and public consensus process, creating public demand for a fair and objective mapping process. This is an ambitious undertaking. It will require significant resources, a commitment of time and money, which Common Cause is committed to raising, and for which we will be asking your help. In the words, yet again, of John Gardner, we're faced with a series of great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as insoluble problems. Working together in common cause, we hope to make the most of those opportunities this year and help our state build the public structures that will realize its full 21st century potential, shared prosperity for all New Yorkers.